Look at that view. Got my own rooftop over here. So there's been lots happening with the VeVe community these past couple weeks. Last week, people were in London, this week, Lisbon, and that's for an official VeVe event at the NFC Summit. Now, I've been seeing a ton of photos on social media about the rooftop party and everyone's experiences, so I felt it was only right to start today's episode off on my own rooftop. But we're gonna be covering all the key points Dan talked about. As always, if you guys enjoy the content, make sure to like and subscribe. Now, the original keynote is about 17 minutes. I will link that video down below. But for the purpose of saving time, I'm not going to cover every point he talks about, just the ones I think are most important. So he started the presentation off with some numbers here. They've sold over 6 million collectibles, 4 million comics, $1.4 billion in sales, which he just like breezed by like it was nothing. And they've also reached 150 countries. Now, throughout the presentation, one thing that stood out to me is that Dan covered all bases quite well. He talked about collectibles, comics, Stacker, 𝐂𝐆𝐃, VeVeVerse, AR, and he went into a considerable amount of detail for each one. Dan mentions the verse is a digital playground. He talks about how 𝐂𝐆𝐃 is used on Stacker. It's the underlining token for the VeVeVerse. It's also used in games like 𝐂𝐵𝐃 and Tengoku. So that's confirmation that it's still coming. I didn't exactly know what was happening with that, so awesome. He also talks about how Stacker is a fully decentralized platform. So you can buy and sell collectibles using cryptocurrency, and all transactions while doing so are sponsored. There is no intermediary, all transactions are on chain, and there's a seamless connection between VeVe and Stacker, so what you do on either platform will show up on the other. Now, a large announcement Dan made, and probably the biggest one, is that VeVe's actually in the middle of changing their framework. He says this is going to help enforce royalties for licensors, which is a good thing for them. And then it's also going to provide more flexibility, allowing for things like self-custody of our collectibles. Dan says they're bringing their licensor agreements on chain, which is going to give the licensors more control over their assets on and off the platform in terms of what they can and can't do with them. Here's the kicker though. Dan says we're eventually going to be able to sell our collectibles on any sales platform. That is his words. Shopify, Amazon, eBay. Oh my Lord, where do I start? Two things that come to mind here, and of course there's more than just two benefits, but the first one is more control. And of course we know that many people in our community have been wanting more control over our collectibles for some time now. But the second is also more exposure for VeVe, because if somebody doesn't know about VeVe, they're not going on to Google and searching VeVe. It's the same with the App Store. If somebody is on Amazon or Shopify or eBay, and they come across a collectible that's on VeVe, but they've never heard of the platform, that's now going to incentivize that person to do a little bit more research. Now, not everybody who looks at that collectible who's never heard of VeVe is going to go to Google and search up VeVe, but some will, and that will ultimately translate to more users. Now, another point that comes to mind, and I might be wrong here, so correct me down below if I am, but I would think that something like this would lead to better price transparency, just because you would have more marketplaces determining what that price is. So you can, do more research into what the trends are on Shopify and Amazon and eBay and VeVe, as opposed to just VeVe. So if you take the Amazons and the Shopify marketplaces out of the picture, then you just have the one ecosystem determining that price, and that ecosystem being VeVe. Now, a super cool part about this presentation is Dan actually used some of our projects to show the VeVeVerse. And he used 3 of our projects: Skyfall, Dr. Fuse's World, High Rise, the first map we ever built, and California Comics, which surprisingly he actually used the Pokemon Pokeball screenshot to promote that one. And I remember David talking about how that could be copyright infringement, so I was very surprised they used that one, but not complaining. I am not complaining. I just found it funny that he had to clarify it wasn't on VeVe. So
this one here is a massive comic space, and I just want to confirm we do not have Pokemon. Somebody built that in the VeVeVerse, but before people start tweeting about it.
So overall, I think it was a great presentation. I actually caught it a few hours after he did it, so I saw some comments on social media before I watched it, and the majority of the comments were positive. I actually saw some comments about how this was the best presentation people have seen in some time now, so that was great to see. Now, before we wrap up today's video, I do have one more thing to mention, and that is I have officially been let into the VeVeVerse mobile beta test group. So if you guys do have any questions, comments, concerns you want me to relay to the team, let me know, and I will try my best to do that. We haven't actually gotten access to the app yet, but it should be coming very soon. So looking forward to it. Let me know in the comment section down below, and I will try my best to do that. Did I just spill? Damn it. Glass. Oops, that's my desk. Oops, that's my desk.